Want to know the secret to a great night's sleep? It's Purple. Why? Because only Purple mattresses have the Gel Flex Grid. It's the reason why Purple mattresses are soft where you want it, firm where you need it, and instantly respond to movement. The Gel Flex Grid flexes around pressure points to support your whole body, no matter how you sleep. Plus, the Gel Flex Grid is 80% air. It breathes, so you're not too hot or too cold. Learn more about Purple mattresses and the Gel Flex Grid at purple.com. Purple, reinventing sleep.
This is CBS Eye on the World. Here's John Batchelor.
Gregory Zuckerman, A Shot to Save the World. His new book, The Inside Story of the Life or Death Race for a COVID-19 Vaccine. The story so far, the world is slowly registering that something terrible has happened. They don't know where, they don't know when, but they know it's coming. What is to be done? We know it now as COVID-19. All that identification was slowly over the weeks in late December 19, early January, early February 20. The pursuers of the solution are not one group. They're not talking to each other. They're in direct competition in the marketplace. Moderna, a small company relative to the drug giants. J&J gets involved, a giant company. BioNTech, a little company in Germany, is attached now to Pfizer, a great big American company, and Novavax, along with Oxford University, the Jenner Institute, that teams up with AstraZeneca. You need two parts here. You need the research and you need the manufacturing. You've got to get them all organized. And that is impossible to do in less than a year and a half, less than 5 years. Making vaccines is extremely arduous, very expensive, and you can miss. So what happens to get them all moving in the same direction? Competition, the marketplace, and cash. Gregory, we begin with March 2nd at the White House. Always love scenes, giant opera scenes that you introduce in your books, Gregory. The gathering is initially meant to bring in the executives, and the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and the Vice President want to meet them. At that meeting, everyone is in attendance. What is Stefan Bancel's memory of the meeting, the man who directs Moderna?
So, yeah, it's a fascinating scene because it's a collection of all these people I write about who have spent years working on these new approaches, but you also have old school executives from companies that are established, are famous, are maybe are more certain of their own approaches. And they all come together and they sit across from the top executives of these companies. They sit across from the president, President Trump. And he kind of says, where are you? I want you guys to develop a vaccine quickly or drugs or both. And Bancel's the one who is diagonal from President Trump. And he kind of says, yeah, we're going to get one soon, Mr. President. We're going to be the ones. And everybody, including Fauci, including others, kind of raised their eyebrows. Here he goes again. Stefan Bancel is known as a bit of an exaggerator. He's never done anything. He and his company have never developed anything that's been approved or even authorized. And here he is, over-promising the president. And others kind of said, well, yeah, no, we'll have something soon. I don't think it'll be within the year. And the president is not thrilled with those kind of answers. He likes Bancel's answer.
He likes Bancel's answer, but Bancel's reputation, we better underline this, Gregory. Bancel's reputation is a man who can raise a great deal of money. And Moderna IPO'd 2 years before, but its stock price is struggling, always has been struggling. Had it taken off at this point? Had it gone from 19 to 66, or was that afterwards?
So it's fascinating. Yes, for years, people had doubts about Bancel and Moderna, and the stock was down going into 2020. But they talked about early on in 2020 how they were optimistic about early signs. We're talking phase 1 trials in animals. But it kind of got them more optimistic that they could develop a vaccine. So the stock started going higher. And Bancel needs money. They've developed, so by May, I'm skipping ahead just a little bit, by May of 2020, because it's pretty dramatic, by May of 2020, they had developed a vaccine that they pretty sure was going to work. But they were despondent within the company. Why? Because they didn't have the money to manufacture these vaccines. Can you imagine? They wanted to save the world and they couldn't. And as you mentioned, this Juan Andre is a fascinating individual. He's the head of manufacturing at Moderna. And he's not a scientist, but he has a sense that there's a pandemic coming. Back in January, he told his family.
This is in suburban Boston, Norwood, Massachusetts.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. He's in his home and he starts stocking up on toilet paper, starts stocking up on tissues. He buys a third refrigerator and to stock up on food because he sees what's going to come. And his family thinks he's nuts. They think he's crazy. They say, come on, Juan, you know what happens. These things never really end up being much to worry about. It's kind of the attitude that I had, most other people had at the time. And he said, no, guys, I want you coming back home. He had family in Europe and elsewhere. He said, no, this is going to get bad. And a month later, his mother-in-law died of COVID. So his family did get the message. And Juan Andres wants to, and by May, he wants to develop these vaccines. And he can. He doesn't have the money. So Bancel goes to Merck, tries to forge a partnership. No interest. He goes to the U.S. government. No interest. He goes to the Gates Foundation. No interest. And here he is, this consummate salesman, and he's failing.
I want to emphasize, Gregory, this is in the spring of 2020. The death rate is climbing week to week, the positive cases. I'm told, Gregory, you and I live in the New York area. I'm told that the sirens went every night in Brooklyn and Queens, every night. And he still can't raise the money because they don't believe him.
Yes. It's a scary time for the world. They think they've got a vaccine. They can't get the money for it. And the only silver lining for them is their stock keeps going higher because maybe Merck doesn't believe, maybe the government doesn't believe, maybe the Gates Foundation doesn't believe, but investors do believe. And, my book is about the greatest, I would argue, the greatest achievement of modern science, but it's also the greatest achievement of modern finance. So investors don't necessarily, and American investors at least, they don't need proof necessarily. They bet on Moderna. The stock's going higher. So what happens is Bancel says, you know what? We're going to go to the one place that still gives us love, and that is Wall Street. And he goes to Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley writes a check for $1.2 billion and then to buy shares of Moderna. And Moderna takes this money, Bancel takes this money, hands it all over to this Juan Andres, the head of manufacturing, and says, go, start spending this money, build these vaccines. And I don't think we appreciate how it could have gone in a different direction. Had investors not stepped up, had Moderna not been able to raise that kind of money in May of 2020, we would not have had these vaccines, at least not as quickly. But millions of lives were at stake. So it was pretty dramatic at the time. And thankfully for all of us, they were able to raise the money, but it could have easily gone in a different way.
Credit Juan Andres. Yes, he has 3 refrigerators. Yes, he worries about paper products, as we all did in the spring of 2020. But he also has to take this $1.2 billion and buy the equipment so that every version, every vial of the vaccine that emerges must be exactly like the last vial. It's this one man working on his dining room table 18 hours a day with what I'd say is the weight of, he was trying to organize D-Day by himself, Gregory. That's what I was thinking, get all the ships to arrive at the same time.
Yeah, he did get help from Operation Warp Speed, and we have to acknowledge that. But yeah, in some ways, I don't think people appreciate the fact that Moderna never found a big partner like BioNTech. BioNTech worked with Pfizer and really helped BioNTech and Uğur Şahin to link up with Pfizer, but Moderna failed to find a partner. So people like Andres had to work nearly 24/7, and they've been doing it over a year. I know people within Moderna that just destroy themselves. Psychologically, they're a mess. There's someone with stage 4 cancer that keeps coming into the office and tries to help the effort. And they needed to work that hard. And yeah, they're really wealthy today because it worked out. But we need to appreciate how hard they've worked to help us all.
The story now turns very dramatic because there's political tension involved in all of these decisions. We introduced the president and vice president. Those stories were covered widely at the time. Operation Warp Speed. Moderna did take the money. Pfizer did not. However, we're going to go to Europe because while we're watching these companies here, we need to see how Adrian Hill and his colleague Sarah Gilbert deal with the completely different governance and fundraising in Great Britain. The book is A Shot to Save the World, the inside story of the life or death race for a COVID-19 vaccine. Gregory Zuckerman is the author. I'm John Batchelor.
Want to know the secret to a great night's sleep? It's purple. Why? Because only Purple mattresses have the Gel Flex Grid. It's the reason why Purple mattresses are soft where you want it, firm where you need it, and instantly respond to movement. The Gel Flex Grid flexes around pressure points to support your whole body no matter how you sleep. Plus, the Gel Flex Grid is 80% air. It breathes, so you're not too hot or too cold. Learn more about Purple mattresses and the Gel Flex Grid at purple.com. Purple, reinventing sleep. Want to know the secret to a great night's sleep? It's purple. Why? Because only Purple mattresses have the Gel Flex Grid. It's the reason why Purple mattresses are soft where you want it, firm where you need it, and instantly respond to movement. The Gel Flex Grid flexes around pressure points to support your whole body no matter how you sleep. Plus, the Gel Flex Grid is 80% air. It breathes, so you're not too hot or too cold. Learn more about Purple mattresses and the Gel Flex Grid at purple.com. Purple, reinventing sleep.